Hello. So the form of biofuel I'm going to be giving you a brief introduction and hopefully give you some sort of understanding of is methanol. So methanol is a liquid biofuel that can be produced typically one of three ways. It can be made by burning natural gas. It can be made from biomass, or it can also be made from recycling CO2. So methanol is a type of alcohol that can be used as fuel to power things like boats, trucks, ships, cars. It burns cleanly, significantly more cleanly than a lot of other fuel alternatives. And then today it's mostly made from natural gas, but then the other alternative methods are much more environmentally friendly, like using biomass or crop waste, corn, of that such. Then that's considered biomethanol because it's being used from biological resources, biomass. And so biomass is any, right? I covered this a second ago. Biomass is any plant-based materials, right? This can be wood chips, any of this. And then, of course, for these to exist, to create these plants that are being used to burn and used for energy, they have to go through photosynthesis, which is a process we all know where plants convert CO2, sunlight, and air, and water into energy. And so all this energy is stored into the crop, which once it's burned or once it's converted into methanol, this is what's turned into fuel. This energy is converted into methanol. Then there's also another method of collecting fuel to turn into methanol. That's CO2. When you add hydrogen to CO2, this can be CO2 from a factory or a smokestack. And then that, of course, that's extremely environmentally friendly, right? Instead of adding more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, you're actually taking it out and recycling it and turning it into methanol. So then how is methanol made? Collecting plant material waste. It goes through the process. First, it's called gasification. Material is heated up with low oxygen. This breaks it down into a gas, which is just a mix of a plethora of different chemicals. Then the gas that is just created is turned into methanol with a chemical reaction that utilizes a catalyst. Right, and then this process, cellular respiration and fermentation are very prevalent. They play a big role because those sugars, like I said earlier, that are stored within the plant, they're being broken down, and then that's what's releasing energy. Then all this is a pretty clean. This is a pretty clean process, help reducing greenhouse gases. So now development status, it's not a super new concept, but it's not very widespread yet. It's used most in two countries, Sweden and the Netherlands are the biggest users of methanol. They use it for shipping fuel, like big truckers. That's their biggest use for it. Then it commercially, right, it's still very early stages. It's not as common as things like gasoline or diesel, or even it's not as widespread as some of the more like environmentally friendly fuel sources like solar panels and like electric cars. It just hasn't hit yet. Then, right, the impact on the carbon footprint. It absolutely could help lower the carbon footprint if the carbon that's going into the process and the reaction is there's not more carbon that's being put out, and it's utilizing that. So like the net carbon is zero. Of course, that has a very positive effect. Fewer emissions, economic impact. Methanol is very cheap to make than other biofuels, especially when you're using waste materials that, of course, you don't have to pay for waste materials, or you might, but you're not having to make new waste materials. So it's economically friendly. Then the public, it's not as widespread. There's not as much social media advertisements for it. Right now, it's a great idea that is hopefully starting to grow and become more known. And the biggest thing that I would do if you had unlimited funding, make it more knowledgeable, make everyone more knowledgeable, make sure everybody knows about it and understands it.